This is Patricia Raskin Positive Living on News Talk 630, WPRO, and 99.7 FM. The program that brings you practical strategies and positive solutions to help you live the kind of life you really want. To speak with Patricia and her guest, call 438-WPRO or toll free at 1-800-321-WPRO. Now, here's Patricia Raskin.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to Patricia Raskin Positive Living. It's always an honor and a pleasure to be with you and to bring you amazing people who will light the way and light up your life. And that's what this is really all about. It's about turning your obstacles into opportunities. It's about turning your problems into solutions. I've been doing this work about 30 years off and on, and it is my calling. And today I'm really honored to have on whom I feel, and many millions of people feel, is an icon in the field of spirituality. And a lot of you are listening out there, and a shout out to my beautiful daughter, Laura, because I think she's listening as well. My guest today is Marianne Williamson. She is an internationally acclaimed author and lecturer. 6 of her books have been New York Times bestsellers, including A Return to Love, The Age of Miracles, A Course in Weight Loss, and The Gift of Change. She has been a very popular guest on The Oprah Winfrey Show, Larry King Live, Good Morning America, and Charlie Rose. A Newsweek poll named Marianne Williamson one of the 50 most influential baby boomers. Her website is Marianne.com, Marianne. Her newest book that we're talking about today is The Law of Divine Compensation on Work, Money, and Miracles. Welcome, Marianne Williamson.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's really wonderful. Now, let's talk about the title of this book, The Divine Law of Compensation. What does that mean?
Well, you know, the law of divine compensation is just a phrase that I wrote, but it describes a particular way that the universe operates. And by that, I mean the universe is both self-organizing and self-correcting. The embryo turns into the baby, the bud turns into the flower, the acorn turns into the oak tree. Science can explain how this happens, but science cannot explain why this happens. It simply is a universal pattern by which those cells know how to divide, those cells know what to do in order to take the entire system to its next best place.
Right.
But it's even more than that. Not only is this universal pattern one by which nature knows how to organize itself, nature also knows how to correct itself. So not only does the embryo become the baby, but once the baby is born, the baby has lungs that breathe, a heart that beats, and so forth. If there is injury or illness within the body, the immune system also knows how to correct it and to restore it and to heal it. If there is a storm in nature, ultimately the storm passes. Now, this kind of imprint in nature is true of all aspects of reality. What that means is that even when there is a problem, the way reality, ultimate reality, or consciousness operates is like a GPS. If you take the wrong turn, the universe will automatically recalibrate itself just like the GPS does. So if there is diminishment or lack on a material level, there is within the infinitude of spiritual substance the drive to compensate for that lack.
All right, so let me ask you this, Marianne. So someone listening to this might say, yes, but I just lost my job.
Right.
Or I'm really afraid and I'm not seeing the compensation. It's not coming to me.
Right. The problem most people make is that we meet a limited condition with limited thinking. The spiritual power of divine compensation is invoked when we meet limited circumstances with unlimited thought. In other words, the person you just mentioned, they lost their job. Right. Well, what we are tempted to do is go into ain't it awful,
right.
Anger at whoever we think made it happen, anger at ourselves if we feel that we messed up, thoughts like the economy is recovering so slowly, there aren't any jobs out there. Even if there are jobs out there, there aren't any for people with my resume or people my age or whatever.
Right.
So when you say I just lost my job, if your attitude is that the only reality you believe exists is the material one, and you see that you yourself have less of the pie, then of course you are tempted to think the most dire thoughts. And then your thoughts conspire with the reality of the circumstance, and that's when we go into this downward emotional spiral.
So what do you do? What should you
hold
do?
on, so going into the downward emotional spiral, then we become people who are actually less likely to be able to get the job because we carry an energy of poor me rather than an energy of, hey, baby, I'm starting over again. Right. So when you say, what do you do? You know, in the world of spiritual journeying, it is not about silver bullets. What do I do? Spiritual power has to do, first of all, with what do we think. And it's that tweak. The miracle is a shift in perception before it's a shift in behavior. And we realize if you have the view that there is a world beyond what the physical eyes see. You know, when you and I look at a table, our physical eyes tell us it's solid. Well, scientists can actually prove that it's not solid. It's mainly empty space. Yes. So with all aspects of reality, there is much more than what our physical eyes can see. And from a perspective of the spiritual, the world is infinite. The universe is an infinite opportunity-creating machine. And so the work of spirituality is to train our minds to the realization that there's always more than meets the eye, even if I lost my job, even if I don't have the money that I need, even if everything on a material plane looks awful, I can ask for a miracle. I can recognize that I can change my thinking to, even though I lost my job, I did not lose my calling. Even though I lost my job, I did not lose my value.
Yes. That
is given me by the very fact that I was born as a creation of some higher divinity. No matter what happens in the material plane, the universe is programmed to give plenty and plenitude to all living things. The universe will compensate for this. And that psychological and emotional effect then actually creates the behavioral patterns by which you get up in the morning and you start again. You know, many Fortune 500 companies were founded during recessions. So
it's really about the way we think and the way we perceive, Marianne.
Absolutely, entirely.
It's all about that. You know, I want to share a quick story that just happened to me this morning, and it was so beautiful. I said, this is the law of divine compensation. I have to share this on the air with Marianne Williamson. Someone last night delivered me flowers, and my birthday's coming up, so I thought, great, they were outside my door. I bring them in. They're for my neighbor because although we're on the same street, the numbers are mixed up, so people often bring things to me instead of her. So I called the florist last night. I knew they were closed, and I explained the whole thing. I said, you've got the wrong number. It's down the hill. Next thing I know is I told her I'm going to the gym in the morning. I'll be back at a certain time. You can pick them up. I'm pulling in, not at the exact time I told her, probably 10 minutes later. I'm pulling in, and there's this lovely woman at the door. And she says, I've come for the flowers. I said, of course. And she has these beautiful flowers in her hand. I thought, that's interesting. So I handed her the flowers. She said, I'm so sorry. The numbers are mixed up. And I said, oh. And she says, and these are for you. And she hands me a vase of gorgeous tulips and says, if I take something away, I want to give something back.
God, what a beautiful thing.
Wasn't that gorgeous?
Yes. What a beautiful woman. Truly. That's high. That's big. That's beautiful. Great story.
I mean, I was stunned. So
well, because you had done the right thing. I mean, some people would have been tempted to just keep the flowers and go, well, you know, they came to me. Maybe the universe meant them for me. Right?
Yeah, no, I don't think that way.
No, I just do not.
Which is why I got the tulips.
Right, exactly. That's exactly my point.
Yeah. So, Marianne, something that, and I struggle with this as an entrepreneur, you know, that whole thing about, a client will go away and then, will a new client come in? And although we know a new client will come in, we don't see it. On the material plane, we don't see it. So I will tend to panic. And, of course, I do the right things. I go out and look and talk to people, and it comes in. But there's that fear, and I know I'm not alone here. So I'd love your advice for me and the listeners. Whenever we see a lack and we get scared, how you can help us. Because
there's a story in the New Testament.
Yeah.
And it's where Jesus says you can build your house on sand or you can build your house on rock. And if you build your house on sand, then the winds come and the rains come and your house gets blown away. If you build your house on rock, no matter what winds or rains come, your house will remain firm. Now, the world of sand, the metaphysical meaning of that story, is that the world of sand is the world of the human circumstances. the shifting winds and rains. Sometimes you have clients, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you have a job, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you have the money, sometimes you don't. If you base your sense of self on those changes, then you're blown away.
Yeah.
Every time the sands shift.
Yeah.
If you build your house on rock, which is what a spiritual journey gives us through meditation, mindfulness, prayer, whatever your spiritual journey is, you're not basing your sense of self, your sense of what's happening, is not based on every little change or even every big change of physical circumstances. That's a very stressful way to live.
Yes.
And so the point of a spiritual practice is to get to the point where your house is built on rock. Sometimes the clients are there. Sometimes the clients are not there. But the love that you can give and the love that you can receive is always there. Your value as a human being does not change according to whether or not you have clients. And to the extent to which you can stand on that ground within yourself, the counterintuitive fabulousness of all this is, number one, you will not get emotionally damaged and completely sent into panic the way you otherwise would. And also, it will actually increase the probability. It will increase the attraction. That's what the law of divine compensation is.
Yes.
If you need another client in order to live at the abundant state, which is your natural inheritance, they are on the way. Your being in a panicked, reactive place will not make that happen.
It'll stop it.
It
right?
will actually stop it, or it will make it, even if they come to you, your energy won't exactly be attractive to the new client. You know, so I have stories in the books, you know, sometimes, and I've seen this in my own life, times when I went into a situation, I was talking to someone, and I was so stuck in the past and what had happened in the past and processing with that person about the past that it was only later in retrospect that I saw that person, and that person represented a new opportunity. That person could have represented a new beginning. But I was so into my stuff that I was bringing from the past, that person wouldn't have then thought to think of me as someone they wanted to go forward with.
You are listening to Patricia Raskin, Positive Living, right here on News Talk 630 WPRO 99.7 FM, and we're also on the web at 630WPRO.com. And as I said in the first segment, I'm very honored to have on the program with me live by phone from California, Marianne Williamson. She's the author of the new book, The Law of Divine Compensation, on Work, Money, and Miracles. Again, Marianne Williamson is an internationally acclaimed author and lecturer of 6 books. She's been a guest on major talk shows, and the Newsweek poll named her one of the 50 most influential baby boomers. You can log on to Marianne.com, MarianNE.com. Welcome back, Marianne.
Thank you.
All right. And folks, if you'd like to call in with your questions for Marianne Williamson, she's with us live by phone, 438-WPRO-9776 or 800-321-WPRO-9776. All right. You have an exercise in your book, this book, The Law of Divine Compensation, which I loved, where you ask leaders to make a list of every person they've worked with in their past, to see them as if they were lining up in a movie. And you say the point is to see what lesson you may have learned so that you will repeat it or you don't repeat it. You say to bless, apologize, and forgive, and then do your best. Look at what you could have done differently. Explain that. Explain how we bring in the good in that way.
Well, the idea here is that relationships are assignments. They're not accidental. We meet people with whom we have on some level the maximal opportunity for growth. So in all of our lives, we can look at situations where we would go, I'm proud of the way I behaved, and other situations where we would say, well, I really wasn't as nice as I might have been. I wasn't as integrous or whatever as I might have been. And there is an incredible universal spiritual theme called atonement. The Catholics do this in confession. The Jews do this in a day called Yom Kippur. 12-Step Recovery Program is a program of amends. It's the idea where you go back to where you realize that you made a mistake, and you, in recognizing your error and taking responsibility for it, making amends where necessary, you actually change the set of probabilities going forward. And so often in our past, you know, we're all big on these days on looking in our past for all the people that hurt us. and how we were victimized and how we were wounded. But sometimes we don't give enough attention to looking at our past for places where we might have wounded others, where we might not have been so good to others, and where others might have felt as hurt by us as in other situations we felt hurt by others. And when we do this, we complete with the past. You know, the law of cause and effect means that for every thought there is an effect. In spiritual terms, Buddha was born before Jesus, and Buddha described the action and reaction of the universe. There's an action, then there's a reaction. There's an action, then there's a reaction. And then 500 years later, and that's what all the great religions do, is they represent a different, it's like the world of religion and philosophy is like a kaleidoscope. And then when Jesus came 500 years later, the concept of grace is that in a moment of grace where you honestly recognize the deeper truth, which sometimes includes your realization of your own errors, you reset the line of probability. Yeah. And so when you look back on your past, if you really want to clear out your present, you realize only the love given was real, only the love received was real. And for you to actually recognize, you know, was I giving or was I taking? Was I kind or was I not? And atone for the error. It has a genuinely miraculous effect on your present.
You also say that miracles arrive from conviction, that you must stand on your principle, and that if you do that, that the miracles will come.
Yes. Yes, there's a line in the Course in Miracles that says that miracles arise from conviction. It's a powerful thought that conviction is a force multiplier. But if you look at the people who have achieved great things, I mean, look at the great, you know, they had conviction. Even when you and I were talking earlier, and I pointed out that many Fortune 500 companies were founded during times of recession. They were clearly founded by people who did not allow their entire emotional and psychological structure to get blown away by the fact that there was a recession going on. They had conviction behind their product. They had conviction behind their capacity to be of service, to contribute. And unfortunately, some of the really terrible things we see in the world come from the perverse conviction of hatred.
Yeah, which just happened in Boston.
Thank you very much. They had conviction. It was a weird and a horrible conviction. They were clearly ideologically captured by the most heinous type of worldview, but they were convicted. You don't make that stuff happen unless you're convicted. And so we see that. We see that people are convicted behind hate these days. We need to see more people convicted behind love.
Yes. I mean, if you look at those two men, how many millions of people that they have affected. How about two men who've done the opposite and affected people in a positive, wonderful way? Yeah.
Exactly. And you think of Martin Luther King, you think of Gandhi, you think of the great religious figures. Absolutely.
Yeah. We have a couple minutes left. I want to ask you about religion, because you've alluded to the Course in Miracles and to great figures. I know that you are Jewish by birth.
Yes, I am.
And where are you in this? How does this fit into religion, Marianne?
Well, it's funny you say I'm Jewish by birth. To me, you're born a Jew, you die a Jew. It's like saying you're black by birth. I mean, I am a Jew. I was a Jew, I am a Jew. Yeah. A Course in Miracles is not a religion. It is a psychological training in relinquishing a thought system based on fear, accepting a thought system based on love, and it's based on universal spiritual themes that are at the heart of all the great religious systems. Some students of the Course in Miracles are related in their thinking and their being to a particular religious system, some not at all. I feel that the Course in Miracles is only by deepening my experience of that mystery, the spiritual mystery at the heart of all things. I think it's made me a more committed Jew. You know, there's an old Buddhist story about monks pointing at the moon, and the point is the moon, not the finger.
Right.
You know, it's not what religion you are. It's not what belief you have. It's the experience that matters.
Yes.
And the experience that all the great religious systems call for is the same, and that is humility and justice and brotherhood and love and forgiveness and compassion.
Oh, and that's beautiful. And that I hate to close. I really want to have you come on again, Marianne.
Anytime.
It was wonderful. And thank you so much. And people can get your book, The Divine Law of Compensation, by going online or going to your website, correct?
Absolutely. The Law of Divine Compensation. People can also sign my mailing list at Marianne.com, and I'll send you a notice if I'm in your neighborhood, or I'm on Facebook and Twitter and all of that.
And if you come out to the East Coast, you let us know.
I would love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.